Hey everybody, this is Lord Magicus, and this week we're going to be playing some Mono Blue Devotion in Pioneer. Yeah, ignore this. These green lands are definitely tapping for blue mana. I have a guest with me here this week at Bishark. Hi, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Mhm.
So most people, I guess, would know me by Bishark. You can also call me David. I'm Canadian Magic player from Newfoundland, currently living in Vancouver. I've been playing Merfolk since, in Modern specifically, since Modern kind of became a thing. And then as soon as Pioneer was announced, obviously Mono Blue Devotion was the closest thing we got. So I've been playing this as well. Although admittedly, excuse me, not as much over the last few months as I've been focusing a little bit more on modern again.
Yeah,
But I'm excited to kind of see what we're going to be doing today.
that's fair. Yeah, like it's only been like the last month or so that like Pioneers have even been like a playable format for the most part.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody was waiting for those bans, so this is it's cool. It's kind of cool to see if things went back to kind of how they were before. There's a lot of decks, that's for sure. The beginning of Pioneer was crazy.
So, didn't you played this deck at the Pro Tour at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did. I actually got I was playing in the Players Tour in Phoenix, and I was practicing with Mono Blue for a very long time. I definitely knew this was the deck that I wanted to take. I eventually decided to go with the blue green version that used Risen Reef as a kind of like
Hmm.
a powerful mana engine, way to draw a lot of cards. With Nykthos and all the lands and all the mana you're making, you kind of just get to, in one turn, you can almost combo off essentially, where you
Oh
play
yeah.
Master Waves, draw your entire deck with Risen Reef, and then play Thassa's Oracle to win. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't do a lot of practice for the draft portion, and I kind of started off with an 0-3 handicap on that one. And anyway, and then after going 2-2 in constructed, that was kind of it for me. And I just used the rest of the time to explore the city. So it was a great trip. I still had a lot of fun, but there's definitely a lot of power here, and I think it's a really cool deck.
I've played the Risen Reef version a few times, and like, yeah, it is really, really dumb and really. It's probably one of the most fun decks I've ever played in Magic. Because yeah, like you said, you get to basically draw out your entire deck from casting a Master of Waves, and it's like the most beautiful feeling ever.
Yeah, oh, big time. And it's one of those things where at the time, especially around that players tour, is when the Sultai mid-range deck was starting to really,
Hmm.
really like gain ground. And so I wanted to build something that kind of had the ability to just like go over the top of anything else that anyone else was doing. So I was playing, I mean, I guess I didn't mention this before, but Agent of Treachery was in the list as
Yeah,
well. You can play those guys so fast. And yeah, I just wanted to, and Thassa, the 4 mana one,
you had the
so you can
five
blink
mana
them.
Elemental guy too, right?
And yeah, that's right, and the Cavalier of Gales.
That's the one.
So yeah, the idea was to play just like a more top heavy version of the mono blue list, and kind of just make sure that you were able to go over the top of these mid range decks because there's no way they could beat you in the late game with all the
Yeah.
card draw that you had. And anyway, I did get to play against them once in the tournament, which was great, but our like matchup versus stuff like blue white controls was and maybe still is generally really tough.
Mm,
Um, Teferi has a good way of undermining the
yeah.
power that you get with Leyline, and so that matchup was a bit of a tricky one. We don't
Teferi's
have Cavern Souls.
fuck. He's definitely a reason that I'm playing some of the cards in this list that we're gonna look at in a second. But yeah, I hate
Hmm.
Teferi so much.
Yep, yep, yep.
And you've also played Devotion and Modern a fair bit in the past few weeks too, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, I have. I was, it was everything was going pretty good with it. It started off pretty strong. I've had a couple of weaker results lately, but I also haven't really been playing it a ton. I've considering it's still kind of like an open idea. I've been testing out some new cards, and though when you're testing new things and not sticking to kind of what's been working for you, your tendency to lose some results kind of comes from that. But it's worth exploring either way.
Mhm.
I just need to take a break because I was losing player points.
Yeah, no, I
But
get
yeah,
you.
no, Blue Devotion, in modern, similar to this deck, like you have that like combo of Thassa's Oracle into turn 3 Master Waves, and that's just insane, especially when the format's like top deck is prowess decks, and you have just like they just can't beat that card, especially game one. They do have Kozilek's Return game two, which you have to watch out for, but having the ability to just jam Master Waves on turn three or indestructible 5/5s on turn three with flash to block, like you just get yourself so far ahead that it's the deck does have a ton of power to it, and being able to play like 4 force negation in a deck like this
Yeah, that's right.
also just
Modern's they gets to do that too. Pitching the extra
yeah.
ley lines to it, that seems good.
So that's sweet. So you got your ley line, and any ley lines you draw outside of your opening hand, you can pitch them to force negation, so they're like not as clunky. Um, or you can still you cast them if you need to, but having the ability to play these super powerful spells and have them backed up with force negation is yeah, really really strong.
I will say I've gotten to play turn 3 Master Waves in this format against the red decks, and it's just like absolutely soul crushing to them. It's so much
Oh
fun.
yeah, it's like a board wipe almost. Like if you have a second one, it's
Yeah,
just
it really
so game
is.
over.
It's like you just play it with like 10 life, and then all of a sudden Master's blocking a guy, and like 3 elementals are blocking another guy, and it's like they can't come back from it. Like it's turn 3 and the game's already over for them because of it. It's just soul crushing. So
Yeah, it seems really good.
I guess yeah, let's take a look at some of the card choices that we're gonna play this time. So yeah, the first and most obvious thing is I know we're playing mono blue devotion, but we actually have one green card in the sideboard, so that we have a mana base tilted a little bit towards this. And it's Skylasher, because the last like league that I played with this deck, the matches that I was struggling with was Spirits in both the Simic and I think it was the variation as well. And yeah, I found it to be really tough, so I wanted to bring in something that could just really buy us some time and like kind of stonewall them a little bit. And Skylasher is probably about as much as you could reasonably hope for against them. Like spirits are generally have like really poor defense, so attacking into it is very difficult because it's just going to eat almost anything that it blocks, and they can't counter it, which is nice. So something like Lofty Denial is not going to do anything. So they have to like spell queller this thing, and if you just get it underneath queller, like it's so hard for them to get rid of it. So I want to test Skylasher. I think this is going to be good against that deck.
Yeah, that card like it looks super impressive, and that's something that I actually missed when I was playing blue green before. Um, I just didn't think about this card, but yeah, like what you just said about beating spirits, it's just like a brick wall for them, which is amazing. And even in the blue white control matchups,
Mm,
if they turn three Teferi, you can flash this guy in, they can't counter it, and then they can't bounce it because it has protection. So if they take it down, you get to kill the Teferi for free, which is nice. So definitely a cool card there that I'm excited. Hopefully we get to play it.
yep. And similar to that, like because of the Teferi, I'm going to continue playing Spectral Sailor just because this slot sometimes is witching well and sometimes is like a flying creature, and I think that Spectral Sailor sort of does the same thing where it draws more cards once you get to like the mid to late stage of the game with its ability, but it also applies more pressure really early, which I kind of want against both decks like Spirits, because a 1/1 can eat like a lot of their stuff if they attack with it, and yeah, also putting more things into play to attack Teferi down quickly is I think important. So this card, the last match I played against the blue-white control deck with this card, like it drew me like 3 or 4 cards and just like crushed them. It was nice.
Yeah, that card's really sweet, especially in the late game. Like you said, that's nuts.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the Fae of Wishes engine. Like this is something I've been impressed with. One thing that I've noticed with this deck that has sort of been a problem in the past that I've kind of addressed here in deck building. It's really easy for like the red decks to just burn out your creatures if you're just playing a bunch of X2s. So stuff like Harbinger and Tidebinder and Merfolk Trickster, they look like they're pretty good on paper, but and the problem is like they get like shocked or like wild slashed or stomped a lot and end up dying, and you lose all your devotion and can't really block very well with them. So one of the things that I tried to do with this is include more things that have like 3 or higher toughness to really kind of stonewall the removal a little bit. So like yeah, you can block, a creature that's attacking and especially with like the Surge Mare here, which we'll get to in a second. Like, yeah, having a huge toughness, it helps a lot to keep these things on the board, which then like makes Nykthos a little bit better once you get to the point where you can actually use it. So Fae of Wishes being a 1/4, I think is actually really impressive, and the fact that like in the late game this thing can just grab like any number of like devastating cards like Cyclonic Rift or Immortal Sun or Ugin from the board, like yeah, they'll just get crushed if you ever resolve any of them. Have you like played with this card at all in this deck?
No, no, I haven't. I've at the like at the beginning when we saw this card, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Maybe we could do something, but I never gave it a shot. So, I think I've seen one of your videos before where you've used it to go grab something like an Ugin out of the sideboard,
Mm,
and that was really clutch that one time. And also, I've seen videos where you've played it just as you said, a 1/4 blocker, and I was really surprised at how good that was because
yeah,
it doesn't look that impressive as a 2 mana 1/4. It's kind of whatever, right? But
yeah.
it's but it buys you so many turns, so it seems so good.
It's also, yeah, it's another card like against spirits. A 1/4 flyer, like it is so hard for them to attack through that too. So I think that
Yeah, seriously.
buys a lot of points there. So yeah, this just it doesn't have the same devotion because it's a colorless and a blue, but I still think that it has enough utility to it where I've been comfortable with 3 copies of this, and I think that the wish board is, you don't need to have like a ton of cards in the wish board. Like maybe you don't need both like Cage and Damping Sphere, but I have like 5 cards devoted to this, and like honestly, I've used most of them at one point or another. Probably Ugin and Cyclonic Rift the most, but like even Immortal Sun, I did get to play this the last time I used it. This card was like also just stupidly powerful. So I don't know. I'm coming around. I think I really like this card in this deck. The last time that I played, I had the Surge Mare in the sideboard, but since I needed to make some room for these Skylashers, I decided that I wanted to move these to the main deck to see how these do. Now, the green ramp decks and like the Uro decks, there's a ton of green stuff that you really want to be able to attack past. So it does have a pretty good form of evasion, I think. Like against the burn deck, like being a 0/5 makes it practically unkillable by a lot of stuff. Um, and it has the cool loot ability to it, which I think it can also help because now you have a way, if you like draw extra copies of Leyline, you can use the Surge Mare to turn it into actually something useful. Like you ever get into that scenario where like, okay, I kept a Leyline in my hand and now I'm like trying to scry one to the bottom and then I draw another one anyway. It's like, what do I do with this? This actually gives us something to do with it. I think that's nice.
Yeah, no, for sure. Something I really like about this card is that it's defensive, because so for like you said, the aggressive matchups, but then versus control, it's not a dead card. Like sure, it's an 0/5, but with your extra mana that you're holding up or doing whatever with
Mhm.
anyway, like you don't want to be committing too much to the board regardless. So having the ability to just turn your 0/5 into a 4 power creature is
Yeah,
really good. So with the looting, of course, is obviously just icing on the cake for that one.
yeah, for
So
sure.
cool card for sure. Kind of relevant always.
So, uh, yeah, and I'm gonna keep Oracle. Like this card, I don't think in the mono blue version I've ever actually used its ability to win the game, but I think just playing Oracle and trying to like scry or super scry a better turn in the future, it seems like that's fine enough. Yeah, and being a 1/3 with like double blue devotion, it just the stats and the CMC work, and I think that this is kind of like the engine grease that keeps a lot of this stuff working the way it's supposed to. Like, okay, I need to dig for master waves, and like, okay, this is a great way to do it. So I don't know. I want to actually win with its devotion effect, but I've
It
only
feels good.
I've only done it with like the Risen Reef one, which is admittedly really fun, but I've never done it with this. So the new card that I do want to test in this deck though is this Jawari Disruption, and this I think is really interesting because now I have 22 actual lands, but like now I get to play 3 copies of this card, and I am hoping that this is going to help us out a little bit against decks like maybe Control or Niv Mizzet, where they have stuff that they want to like tap out for, and just Force Spike against them is good, but also playing extra lands is good because it then feeds stuff like Gadwick when you want to tap for like 1,000,000 mana in the future. So I'm hoping that this card it's going to be good. It feels like this is, if there's any shell that's going to make use of both the counterspell mode and the land mode, it has to be something like this.
Yeah, this is a new one. I don't really have a ton to say about this guy other than I'm curious. That's for sure. I do
Yeah.
really like the fact that by playing this card, you get to essentially play 25 lands,
Yeah,
which
it
is
helps.
really nice.
There's also the option of playing like Glasspool Mimic, which, that could be fine too. It's,
Mm,
like we played in Merfolk a lot of times, like Phantasmal Image, and it kind of does the same thing. The only downside is that we don't have like Aether Vial to disguise what we're doing, so if you play the Mimic and they have some way to kill like Master Waves, you're not going to get to copy it probably, but at some point maybe that card's worth testing in here too. But I
yeah,
like
makes
this
sense.
because even on the draw, like this is a card that like keeps turn 3 Teferi from resolving. Because like
Hmm.
the counter spell we most often end up relying on is Wizard's Retort, but if you're on the draw, like this card is not going to counter Teferi. We don't have any way to actually do it with this. So it's going to cost you 3 mana, and they're going to get to 3 mana first. So
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
not being cold to Teferi in the draw because of the disruption here.
Hmm.
Because again,
Yeah, no,
fuck
that's
that
good.
card.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so you're protecting yourself against a fairy, which this deck definitely wants to do, and you're gonna have way more keepable hands by essentially playing 20 up to 25 lands,
Yeah,
if you ever do need to keep it as a land as a mana source. So
yeah, and
yeah,
we
I
only
think
have
the card
there's
seems
four
cool.
1-drops, right? So like playing a come into play tap land in turn one's not a bad deal most of the time because it kind of acts like a 1-drop play to play it as a land. So you can kind of curve into it. I think.
Hmm.
I don't think it coming in tapped is going to hurt that badly. At least I'm hoping not. Maybe the Sanctum in the late game is going to be an issue, but that's something else. We'll have to see if it's worth it with the Skylasher. So who knows?
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully we don't draw it as our fourth land. That's the
Yeah,
that, that's the
exactly.
key. The turn we need to play Master Waves. We'll keep the sanctums away from us.
Yeah, exactly. So I think everything else is like I think we see like most of the rest of these cards in to most of the decks. The only thing that's maybe different is I only have 3 Gadwicks here. Excuse me. But with 3 Gadwicks I think is fine when we're also using like Fae of Wishes to get stuff like Ugin or Immortal Sun from the sideboard because that provides a similar amount of crushing advantage if you ever like get to play those. So I have enough late game stuff where I think I could afford to cut the 4th one of these, and that worked like the last few times I played this, so I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
But
no, that sounds good to me too.
Baron like is also really just stupid. I this is like I've only got to like use him a little bit, but like I think every time I've played him, I've been pretty impressed with his ability to just totally destroy people. Either bounce like Master Waves back to your hand and recast it to make more tokens, or like bounce a Planeswalker. Like maybe they play the Teferi, but then you can like play Baron and then have a counter spell up for the next time that they play it. Like that's actually helpful. Just yeah, I've kind of liked him in here as a 2 of. So we don't have Oboro, unfortunately, but we do have the ability on Fae of Wishes. If you discard 2 cards, you get to bounce this back to your hand, and then at the end of the turn, you'll get to draw a card from this. So it kind of makes it easier to play this early game and then pick it up later if you need to. Which I don't know if I've gotten to like make use of that yet, but it is a kind of fun synergy in here. I
Yeah,
like this card. I don't know. I wish it had flash, but even without it, like Leyline
yeah,
still makes it really dumb when you can cast it on the opponent's turn, which is nice.
for sure. Yeah, I think Baron's a really sweet card, and kind of like you said with the Fey Wishes. Alternatively, with Baron, you can bounce the Fey Wishes back to your hand without discarding 2 cards. So,
Hmm.
and instead you get to draw a card, right? So you can play it as a blocker, and then you can play Baron to bring it back to your hand.
Well, you'll have to
Um,
discard 2, but you'll get 1 card back from Baron at the end of
oh,
turn.
so I mean, if you use Baron
Yeah.
to target Fey Wishes to
Oh,
return
you
to your
you
hand,
could also do that too. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, so that way you're not
Wow.
discarding 2 cards, you're actually gaining
Yeah.
a card.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes.
So
Yeah. So
and
okay.
if
If he's out first and then you like use Fae of Wishes, you can loot for like 1 card. But yeah, if Fae's out first and then you play Baron, then yeah, you get the Fae of Wishes back, and you go
mhm,
up a card. That's actually pretty interesting.
yeah,
I don't think I realized that.
so that's pretty sweet. And if you have your Nykthos clock going, of course, as well, you can play Gadwick. If say you leave 3 mana open, play
Yeah.
Gadwick, draw a bunch of cards, play Baron, put Gadwick back in your hand,
Mm-hmm.
tap something when you cast Baron. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff with that card. I think he's super flexible. Obviously, unfortunately, we don't have a Boro, which is the real fun thing to be doing. But it's still really cool with all of the ETB effects that this deck plays. And then the flexibility of just hitting a Planeswalker, because that's not something that you get to do very often.
Yeah.
And
You get
sometimes
to
you get locked out under Teferi, right? So, like you said, bounce it and counter it. Sweet.
you can pick up stuff like Brazen Borrower after you've used it as a spell once and then play it, so that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe pick up Thassa's Oracle so you can redig for like something else. Yeah, I don't know. I think this has enough utility where I've been happy with playing 2 copies of this. So, and yeah, so it kind of gets split in the same slot as Borrower, but it's because I think like this has so much more flexibility where it just makes it like having 1 Baron and 1 Borrower is probably better than having 2 Borrowers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I played Pioneer. I think like because I've been focused on Modern a lot lately. But I'm excited to like go and play with some of these cards now. It's been a long time, and I really like Pioneer as a format now that they've actually like banned all the stupid nonsense out of it. So it definitely feels like it's a lot better off than where it was, and like definitely feels way healthier to me than Legacy does for sure. So
yeah, that's good. I haven't looked at Legacy in a long time.
it's I think the problem with that format is every time that like the 4 color decks get like super powerful, like it's just not good for the format for that to be happening.
Right.
And Astrolabe is like one of the things that just enables that to continue going on that way, and like Oko is providing a huge incentive to make 4 color decks, so it's just
right.
I have not wanted to play that format in a while, but like fortunately in the meantime like Pioneer has gotten much better since I think they banned some of the most egregious cards from it. So we'll see how this does. Yeah, and it'll be a few seconds, and then we'll be right back. So, okay, we are back, and we are on the draw. It looks like FWDR3. I feel like I should know this person, but I don't. I actually okay. So this is okay. So this is an example where this disruption actually looks like it's going to help us a lot here. I think we keep this because we go Leyline and we can play this in turn 1, and then we can play like Oracle on turn 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think this looks pretty good. And Sanctum comes into play untapped. It's not the Harbor, so.
And I mean, we might draw another land anyway, in which case we might not even need to play this. So who knows? Yeah, I definitely want to do that. I would probably just instantly concede this match if I just did not put Leyline in play there.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Nope, we're starting in a new league. It just wasn't meant to be.
The next thing to hope for is that they don't Thoughtseize our land.
Oh god, I didn't even consider yeah. That's something that I don't think I've heard anybody like mention that, like getting your lands Thoughtseized. Oh god, no.
So that's why the name's familiar.
Yeah. So let's see. He's playing. Okay, so I'm wondering if maybe he's playing like. Fuck. All right. What is it? What goes on here? Is this? There's like the Balustrade Spy Undercity Informer combo. Like, I wonder if this is part of that deck, right? Because
I mean, it could be. Might just need a. I guess they wouldn't play tap lands in mono black aggro.
Yeah, so I think we still have to play this. Yeah, so I'm thinking that it could be that. Depends. If they play another one of these, then I'm going to be much more confident in that. I know a lot of people have been testing it. That definitely makes me feel like this is a Balustrade combo. No, yeah, there is no way that we are not getting comboed by this nonsense next turn. Oh, fuck.
Okay. Well,
Well, I think the only play here is to play Oracle and pray for a counterspell off of it next turn, and that we don't die.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Well, you let them see what they're doing. Do you want to wait to play it on their turn, or?
Oh, you know what? We could have done that. Okay, well, I'm definitely putting retort on top, so I should have waited. You're right. I forgot I had Leyline out. This is so dumb.
Well, we
I
talked
know
about
what's
not putting it
coming.
in play.
I've seen this. Like, I know exactly what they're doing. They're gonna. Okay, so so the nice thing about this is they put a land into play tapped. So yeah,
That's good.
there's
So
no
this
way.
Wizard's Retort is real nice.
They're playing like literally all of these lands. They don't have any like basics in their deck or anything. So I guess we just attack here because they can't block it really. But yeah, all I have to do is basically just counter the Undercity Informer, and then they like don't go off because the way that this works is actually I think they need to cast spells too. So they have to like play the Informer with a bunch of things that felt like what the hell is it? They have to cast like 3 instants or sorceries because they have to like put their entire deck in the graveyard, get Arc-like Phoenixes back, and then get you with the Creeping Chills. So that's how they kill you in one turn.
Okay, yeah. I was wondering about that.
Oh,
I know
look!
that, like,
Shocking!
amazing.
Yeah, we're not gonna let that happen. As I don't want to be taking the Creeping Chill right now to the face. But you can still play the Spectral Sailor at the end of turn. Okay, well... can only weather so many of these. It looks like maybe they might have waited. I don't know, like they had this. I'm wondering if they had this last turn, but there's a possibility if they saw us play this land and we had not played this right away, they could have just thought we might have another one and then would have delayed a turn anyway. So, oops, no, not that one. Okay, we need to draw more counter spells. That's probably not the one.
Yeah, they got 2 cards in hand. If we are lucky enough to get ourselves a Nykthos, we'd be looking pretty good while they try to find the next combo piece.
So, okay, so here's the thing. We're probably dead if they have another thing. The other option is we could play Baron and like bounce, say, like Spectral Sailor back to our hand so we can draw another card. I don't know if that's worth it.
I'm just thinking. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I'm wondering about. I don't know how much time we have versus them, but we could also bounce the Oracle.
Yeah, we could pick up Oracle because then if we draw a land, then we could potentially draw Wizard's Retort off of this in the upkeep. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think play Baron right now, bounce this, and then end step get a card from this is probably the way to go.
Yeah, we really need to try to find ourselves either a Nykthos or a Counterspell. So, like this.
Okay, well, Nykthos is definitely a way to go about this.
Okay, step 1.
Did I not play a land? Am I stupid?
You did not, but you didn't have one to play.
No, oh yeah, you're right, because I drew this in the end step. Alright,
oh, no.
There we go. Well, everybody, we're going to watch this nonsense happen, so... Creeping Chill is going to hurt us. I don't think they get the Phoenixes back, though, right? So...
Why wouldn't they have both?
Look at the card, so... Oh, no, here's what they're going to do. They're going to get the... They're going to get the Prized Amalgams and Silver Smoke Ghouls back, right?
Yeah, that's right. Can we...
Yeah, there's the...
Do we have enough mana to Fey Wishes into Ugin?
Probably not. But here, let's take a look at like what's in here. So they do have Thoughtseize. What's this? Claim to Fame. Yeah, this actually is really good because if they decide that they want to play Thassa's Oracle, like this is a way they can go about doing that. So yeah, and here's the other thing: the World Spine Worms. Oh, you know what? We might be able to beat them with like Ashiok, though. That's possible. They have to
Oh
like
yeah.
untap
Yeah.
and draw a card. So if we could like end up responding to this with Ashiok, then like they would just die. Do we have enough mana to do that with like granted into? Oh fuck. Okay, maybe. I might have screwed us though by not. No, no. Okay, well we might have needed the land. I don't know. We'll see how the mana turns out for this. So Nykthos, that's 5, 6, right?
Yeah. So we're one short.
Yeah, we need one more. If we had drawn a land last turn, like, fuck, we could have actually like potentially granted for Ashiok. That would have worked. I don't think we're gonna get this one though. I mean, okay, so well, let's look at this. Could we just go on the defensive enough to not die to these prized amalgams? Maybe that's possible if I can just play enough blockers. I just have to live for like 2 turns.
Hmm. They pay 4 of each. No. Okay. I was gonna say we could get master waves, but we did not draw
Um.
that.
Well, yeah. Okay. So, all right. Let's think about this. So we're at 11. So we're not dead yet. They have 2 cards in their deck. Um, I can block these. I could just play like Fae of Wishes and Surge Mare, and then just try to like hold the fort down that way.
Yeah, totally. Well, we have how much mana did you say? 2, 4,
Oh,
5,
you know what?
6.
Okay, so like here's the thing, right? We can, if we play the Nykthos this turn, we can play 6, so we can play 3 more blockers. So there's probably no way that we die. I
Yeah.
imagine he has 1 Creeping Chill in hand because they only 3 of them went to the graveyard. So we're probably at 8, but if we can like block enough of this stuff, we can then on our turn Fae of Wishes, wish for Ashiok, and then mill their deck out so they die before the prized amalgams get to attack us. I think that might be the way to go with this. So
Right. Well, I think they'll have the prize amalgams ready to attack on their next turn, right? They're going to come back on your end step.
yeah, you're right.
But I
So
think there's only 3 of them.
so I see 1, 2, 3. No, there's 4 in the graveyard.
Oh, okay.
So okay, so we have to block basically all 4 of those things. Fuck. All right, that could be a problem because these are both 3/1s as well.
Mhm.
Damn it, 5, 6. Why I'm so close, but like, okay, wait. There's another option here. What if I get Grafdigger's Cage? The prized amalgams won't come back because I don't have enough to get Ashiok right here, but I do have enough to get the Grafdigger's Cage. So that if I play Granted for that, that's only 5 mana. We have
Okay.
access to 6, so
Right.
and then I have 2 blockers. I think that might be enough to not die here.
We wouldn't be able to get Ashiok on the following turn, though, right? Because then we'll lose the devotion.
Well, it depends. So we would take 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. So if he has Creeping Chill in hand, then we would die if we didn't block.
Mhm.
Yeah. Otherwise, like we have to fade like 2 draws. Huh. But I think if we don't get Grafdigger's Cage, there's probably no way that we can do this.
Yeah, let's see. We got 1, 2, 3 blockers, 4 blockers, and they have 4, 3, 6.
Well,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think if we just try to put a bunch of power or toughness into play and block, we just lose to the chill plus the spy.
okay, so let's pray. Cast granted. Okay. Yeah, I have to imagine that the other Creeping Chill is in hand. And he has the mana to cast it, which is a problem. So, yeah, I guess whether we block or not is going to be an issue, but this is, I guess, as much as we could reasonably hope for.
Yeah, I think we need to assume that he has the chill in his hand. I feel like this deck wouldn't just play 3 of them. That seems a little weird.
Yeah, so effectively we're at 8 life. So can we not die from 8? What if I just throw away one Spectral Sailor? Is that enough to live? So then it'd be 5, 6,
I think
7
so.
damage. Ooh, that's close. And that gives me an opportunity to play more blockers too. Can trade with this thing at least. I mean, actually, this can block one of them too. So we like this can block here and this could block here. So
Yep.
I'm taking 6 damage, and then 3 more from that. So I still wouldn't be able to shock myself with the breeding pool. But maybe playing Thassa's Oracle in the upkeep might help. Because I could dig for like an island.
Oh yeah, we could do that. But otherwise, if we didn't, we're still gonna keep 4 devotion, right? So we'll have 5 mana. So we play two spells, right?
Yeah.
2 spells.
Okay. Yeah, this is a deck where like most of the time is not going to be how many turns this goes to. It's going to be how to weather the storm of the combo here. Because now he only has 2 turns like left to kill us. So
Also worth mentioning it, he has Despair in his graveyard as well. So he could
well, he,
actually just make all of his guys
well, he
menace.
can't cast it from the graveyard.
Oh, okay. Well then,
Yeah,
don't even
Grafdigger's
worry about
Cage
it.
protects us from that. So
Cool.
now
Okay.
now the question is like, so this he's stuck on his upkeep, so he's going to go down to 1 card. So he has this turn and next turn to attack us. So if we can live like through 2 attacks, we actually win.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and I'm assuming that this turn probably Creeping Chill is going to get cast. So,
Mhm.
and I mean maybe like if we can like Oracle into like
Just any untapped land, right?
yeah, or into any untapped land, that has to be enough to live.
Yeah,
Because
I
we'll
think
still
so. If
have
we
one.
upkeep Oracle, we'll get 6 mana
So
and be able to
we're gonna
play
lose
all
the
3 dudes.
yeah we'll lose this turn, but we'll still have 6 devotion once we play the Oracle. We'll be able to 6 mana. We can cast Fey, Surge, and Fey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3. So it'll be 5. Yeah, 5 blockers. So that should be enough to not die. I just have to basically hope that there's an untapped land in the top 5 cards of my deck. So, if that's the case, I think we're going to win. But only just barely. So we know that he has 2 mystery cards, and we know that he's going to draw 2 Worldspine Worms, so it's whatever's in the hand at this point. The graveyard for them is offline, so it's literally just down to the 2 cards in hand, like if those 2 cards are going to be enough to beat this. And I am assuming, based on their list, one of them's Creeping Chill, so that's 1 mystery card. So that's the question. What is the mystery card? There's 1 card in their entire deck right now that we are not sure what the location of. But I
Yeah, it
think...
looks like they have. Oh no, never mind. I was gonna say I think maybe I'm only seeing 3 Gilded Goose in the graveyard, but it looks like there's 4, so
Yeah, let's see if we can
that's fine.
try
They would have
to...
just played that last turn.
Maybe we can math out exactly what's here. So, like, alright, let's see. How many under... So, Spy... So, that's 1... There's 1 in play, so 2... 3... 4. So, 4 spies are accounted for. 1... 2... 3... 4 Undercity Informers are accounted for. Let's see. There could possibly be another Seagate. So there's only 3 of them here. I don't know how many of them they play, or if they... let's see, what's this one? So Turn Timber, so let's see how many of those are there. 1, 2... 3, 4, so all 4 of those are there. I'm sure that they would So all the black ones and the green ones, I'm assuming they're going to play maximum copies of. So Awakening, right? So there's 1, 2, 3.
It could very well be the blue one, like you said. They'd probably just want to have as many untapped lands as possible.
Okay, so yeah, all 4 of those are there. Yeah, my guess would be that it's the Seagate, and if it is Seagate in his hand, then it means he loses. Because the Seagate,
ideally.
well, his hand is like definitely like Creeping Chill and 1 card, and if it's a land, then they aren't gonna win. I mean, yeah, so it would have to be something that's relevant that they could cast next. Well, okay, so I don't know if they would. If it's a creature, they could cast it this turn, but I don't even know if that would be enough because they wouldn't be able to attack this turn. Trying to figure out what else it could possibly be. Like, it can't be like if it's a Claim to Fame, they lose, right? Because the claim doesn't do anything here. But there's probably only one of these.
It's strange that we're still just in their upkeep.
Yeah, well, I think that they're trying to figure out whether they're dead or not. Well, I mean, we took a couple minutes to try to figure out what we were doing, so it's only fair that they have time to figure out what they're doing now.
That's true. Usually that kind of stuff happens in the main phase, but I guess since they already know what their draws are going to be.
Yeah, they literally know the rest of their deck at this point, so it depends upon whether they're trying to figure out if they have any line that doesn't lead to them decking out, so I guess we could still try to brute force what the other card is in their hand while we're waiting. So like Thoughtseize would, I don't think Thoughtseize, well, Thoughtseize probably, does that work? I don't know if Thoughtseize matters. Let's see. Well, let's see if it even's there. There's 1, 2. No, all 4 Thoughtseizes are in the graveyard, so it's not that. What about Silver Smoke Ghoul? Maybe there's more of those? I would have thought there would be more than just 2 of these, right? Maybe it's a 3rd Silver Smoke Ghoul. That's entirely possible. Let's see what else. Okay, they win the match. Okay, I guess they timed out, so they lost due to inaction. So
interesting.
Yeah. So
well,
like,
I think we had that.
Yeah, my guess is that they probably had another Seagate and a Creeping Chill in hand, and like neither one of them was enough here. Because yeah, like you said, we can just throw this in front of the Silver Smoke Ghoul, and we can like block one of these things. And yeah, then we take 6 damage, go to 5, and then Creeping Chill brings us down to 2. But I think then we're still okay because then, like I said, we have Oracle into then playing these, so we'd still have 5 blockers. So they can't get this back, and yeah, I think even that just wasn't going to do it for them. So. Okay, well, we have beaten the combo deck in Pioneer, so...
We'll take it.
Oops, hold on a sec. Yeah, we're not... yeah, that's right. I almost forgot, because we're sitting here chilling. Yeah, so that was the match, and this is going to be Monday's match, so everybody who's watching, please give this a thumbs up, and then I will see you guys for the next one, so take it easy.